So today we're going to talk about my FX3 rig. So this is 3 years in the making. Now, not necessarily this specific rig, but these parts and just the process of building it out with my Fuji X-T4, my Fuji X-H2, and just, yeah, a couple other cameras. But basically, what happens is you watch all these videos, like the one you're watching right now, and you buy the parts and it looks good or you think it's going to be good for you. But what happens is you have to use it. You have to, you know, when you do like a wedding day, it's 8-10 hours. When you do long production shoots, when you actually use it, that's when you can actually figure out, hey, where do I actually hold my hand? Do I even like using a top handle? Do I like using a side handle? And these are things I'm going to touch on as we get into it. But just quickly here, know that you have to just use your camera first before you start buying all this stuff. Because although it doesn't look like much, these bits and pieces, you know, you're $20, you're $40, some of them are $100. And so then it starts to add up really fast. And if at the end of the day, you're the kind of person who doesn't like having a heavy rig or it's too bulky for you, then you've spent a lot of money. So I would say try to start maybe with a cage then and a top handle or a side handle and see how you like it. And then from there, start building it out. And so for me, like I said, about 3 years into it now, this is where I've gotten to. And so I like holding the top handle. So let's say wedding day, for example, because wedding days are long shoot days. I've tried some straps, you know, like camera straps around my shoulder. It's too cumbersome for me. Sometimes I already have my Peak Design sling, which I actually also use as a nice base. So it's kind of like a saddle, like a cine saddle. I think that's what they're called. You can like rest it on here like this, and then I can hold it close to my chest. And this is exactly it. This is the reason why it's built this way. So I have a hand strap over here, and then over here I have a little, it's not really a grip, it's just like a little rod with this piece here, which again, I'll show you when we get into a tighter shot. But it just allows me to just really quickly kind of cradle it here or grab it. And then from there, I can still shoot with this hand, pull focus here or switch up. And since it's more forward, it balances nicer and I can change this hand. And I've been starting, you know, when I first started shooting, I was shooting kind of cradling the right hand and then just pulling focus and all my adjustments here. But then I realized it makes sense to hold it with a nice grip on the side here or under here, because in my right hand, I make all the adjustments for my, you know, shutter, ISO, etc. And so then I can pull focus here like this, come back to here. And so that's what I've been, you know, how I've been shooting lately. So that's what I mean. Everyone shoots differently. So just because you see a rig that looks cool online, you know, take it from what you will, but know that as you shoot, your rig and everything you do will start to evolve, and it should, your rig should suit you. So it's funny that I have, you know, basically Brooks bicycle handles here, because to me this is sort of like a handlebar on a bike. So if you're not a cyclist, I'm not a huge cyclist either, but I just know bikes. But you know, with down bars, you have a lot more options. You can hold in the middle, you can hold to the side, depending on how your hand starts to fatigue, or if it's a long race, short race, or if you need to really make a sprint. So I look at it the same way. Sometimes, you know, if you just had just a body, no cage, no battery, you just hold it like this, the side, and that'd be okay. But if you want to get down low, it's nice to have a monitor, it's nice to have a top handle, and to be able to move like this, and then let the weight of the camera steady out your shot. So then you can kind of just let it dangle like that. And so I hope that makes sense. These are just considerations I want you to think about as you start this journey, because yeah, you're gonna waste a lot of time or a lot of money. But at the same time, if you enjoy it like I do, then it's been a fun process for me. So I hope that makes sense. Just build out slowly the kind of the core components you might need, and then you can start to modify from there. Some people enjoy having a rig and it built out like this. Some people are like, well, if you buy an FX3 or a small mirrorless, why wouldn't you shoot with just the mirrorless? And so I would if this battery would last the entire day, but it doesn't. In the FX3, I thought Sony's had really good battery. My A7 IV that's shooting right now, and then my A7 III, those great. Those are actually, the batteries are really great. For some reason it drains quickly on this. I've tried turning off the fan, I've tried some stuff, but having the V-mount, if you're doing a long sustained shoot, or just running around all day and you don't have time to swap things out, is nice. So for me, a 50 watt here is, it runs basically like half the day. So on a wedding day, it'll take me right till reception, and then I swap out another 50 this size for the remainder. And the reason I do that is because I do have a larger 99, but it just gets a little heavy. And again, if you're doing long shoot days, I'm handheld all day, so I want to make sure it's as light as possible, but yet has decent runtime. So yeah, okay, let's go. Let's look deeper into this, because I've got some stuff that, again, I think are pretty fun and some people haven't addressed. But, you know, this is about as compact and about as organized as I could get it. But yeah, if you see any room for improvements, let me know. So let's dive deeper into this, bring you closer. All right, guys. So starting at the top here, we've got a Portkeys PT6. It's a decent monitor. It's not the brightest outside, which is a bummer, but the reason I chose it is because it's got a pretty good battery life. As far as, the power draw, it doesn't draw as much power as some of the other ones that have fans or that are like 1,000 plus nits. So it's got a good balancing of, good balance of being able to see features and just not drawing too much power. Again, that's my biggest concern on wedding days, is just making sure that I have enough juice to run this entire rig. And so yeah, having a monitor that doesn't draw a lot of power was a big concern for me. And then from the monitor here, we've got a small rig, just a friction arm here, just a friction mount. So it can just kind of pivot just like that. So it can pivot just like that. From here, this is a piece from another cage, but it's got a hot shoe adapter into the top of this. And then this acts as another small cheese plate. So again, like I said, when you're building your rig, you have to figure out how you like to hold your rig and how you like to shoot. A lot of times, handles are just kind of like this. There's no gap. It kind of just starts here and goes back, and the monitor might be flush to there. And for me, I don't like holding it like this. I feel like it's going to slip. It's not secure for me. I always like having at least one finger hooking through, and then this bar partitions that and gives me some added grip, and just it feels better in the hand. I feel more secure, like I'm not going to drop it. And so that's why this is kind of set like that. And then this top plate is a small rig top plate. This cheese plate here is the same as the bottom, and these two are connected by this small rig V-mount battery plate. And the height is perfect for the FX3. It's just awesome. So this I tested out after I saw Caleb's video on his creation, where he did some 3D printing, and he made it look really clean. His thing, yeah, his rig looks really cool. So I just like, you know what? I already had all these pieces, but it was just kind of dangling here. No, this piece wasn't here yet. But what I didn't like about that on the FX3 in particular is that under here, where the two bolts for the XLR handle, that's all that was holding this whole setup. And so when you moved it like this, or I held it, you could feel a bit of a flex, and I was afraid that it would ruin these screw mounts or the body of the camera. So adding this creates a nice bridge between the two and holds it. And the other thing too is this is another piece from the XLR handle, which I'm not using, but I had a bolt here, and then it's nice. There's a little lip here that pushes down on top of this plate. So again, adding just that clamping force, and again, that security. So these are things it's hard to say what body you're using, but if you're using the FX3, this might be enough, but I already had this, so I just clamped it down. So now this whole cage on here is solid, and I'm not afraid it's gonna break off any screws or damage the body in any way. So that's why I like this. Brooks leather bicycle handle, I had that laying around from a bike I was building, so it just looks cool. I like the leather and it feels nice, get the extra grip. Back to this plate here. The nice part here is then I can have extra mounting options. So I added a cold shoe, my Broad or Deity, I can't remember which one it was, but just the shock mount. And I just jammed this Sennheiser in here. I think it's the 200, anyways, I'll put all the links in the description below. But, this little mic into here, and then that way there's a bit of, just shock protection there. And the reason I chose this mic rather than like an XLR or I even have the Sennheiser MK 400 or 600. I can't remember which one it was. But anyways, it's a really good mic, but the issue is, runs off batteries. And so again, for wedding days, I just want a bit of scratch audio and just, if I'm interviewing somebody or chatting with someone, it's just back up here. I also give a recorder if I'm interviewing someone on a wedding day. So that's the close-up audio, and this is kind of backup in case something goes wrong. But I don't want to worry about another battery piece, and this mic has been surprisingly great. And also, because it has a nice built-in wind muff, it does come with the dead cat, but because it's got nice wind protection already inside, I can just mount it like this and not have an extra puffy piece. Again, I'm trying to keep this as tight as possible. And so, yeah, running the wires neatly and cleanly through down here. We've got right angle HDMI connector up there, coming down to another right angle here. And down here, you could probably do a more elegant solution than I've done here. This is just an old HDMI clamp, a universal one that I had left over from my, my Fuji kit. So I had this rubber piece. The spacing was perfect for this. Used that screw, and that held it in here. And then now this just keeps things tight and doesn't wiggle on me. So I can feel like when I'm holding this, my palm, the pad of my thumb here can rest into it, or my wrist, or whatever it is, and I don't feel like it's going to damage the HDMI or disconnect it in any way. Down here, you'll also see a right angle USB-C, and that runs back into here, and that's what I use to charge the camera. And this is a cool little contraption. Haven't seen anyone use this, so feel free to steal this idea. Under here is the other side of the right angle adapter, and one sec here. So I just kind of tucked it in here and use a little twist tie, and this here just a little gaffer tape, but it goes from the right angle, the other right angle, into a magnetic USB-C that was actually an extra from my MacBook laptop charger. From this guy, here's the other magnetic end. And all you do is, like, when I'm shooting and I notice the battery's running a little low, I just want to top it up. I just touch it there, and then that's it. Once it's on, it just starts kicking, it starts to charge, and we're off. There you go. And so then when, I feel like it's up to, it doesn't, maybe I'll let it run the entire time, let it charge up, or if I just want a little bit, just try to conserve this, depending where we're at. It's nice and easy. I can just pull this off, tuck it back here, and then close this door. And the thing with that, the reason that's handy is because then I'm not having to jam things in, move things, whatever. It's just a nice quick, like, boom, magnetic connection, and I'm off. And then the small rig battery here is the main primary reason for this is to power the monitor. And so it goes from a D-tap right into the little jack up here. So then, yeah, when this runs out of juice, pull this off, pop this up, swap out the battery, and then I'm good for the second half of the wedding day. This is off my my dad cam, my handy cam, and I just liked how small this was, so this is what I use. And I do recommend this because what happens is if you're holding like this, it's nice to just be able to not sit there and grip all day, because then, the tension really just, you get tired, right? And really causes pain in your hands, wrist, arms. So this you can just, once in a while, let loose, let it hang. So you're cradling with this hand can just kind of hang like this, give yourself a break. Or if you need to just hold it, it's nice. Or if you're filming like a dance, reception, a scene or something like that, where like people are moving around, hustle and bustle, it's just nice to know that you've got this, so that if you get bumped, like, it's not going anywhere, right? It's secure. So when you're handling expensive cameras, it's like, you don't want to drop it. So this bit here, like I said, it's not really a handle, but it's, again, part of a universal cage that clamps. And then I bought a little small rod here, and it fit perfectly because I don't want it, for me, I don't like it when the handles extrude too far. For me, I like it compact, and that way if I'm moving around a dance floor, or if I'm just moving around people in general, I can be tighter in instead of bumping and having such a wide footprint. And plus for balance, it's nice. And so this is just that with, I think, some bracket tape here, and then I just put the extra I had from the handlebar tape just to match it up, and add a little class to it. I like the leather, it looks great. And down the bottom here, this is, I don't know Nixie rig, or I don't know who made this, but basically it's an Arca Swiss with some legs, and so that way I can place this down and it can be balanced. It does add a little extra weight that I might not want some days, so then I do take it off, and I can always put in a different Arca Swiss plate or something. But for now, it is nice. So that way I can just pop it down and grab another camera or do whatever I need to do. So that's cool. And I'll show you this because I had a question, because a fellow FX3 shooter was asking me how exactly did I connect this plate. So if you can see there, so the two cheese plates here, the bottom one, I've got longer screws going up into this plate, and then the top one here, it's smaller screws going directly into that plate there. So hopefully that helps. So batteries, just quickly, this is a V-mount. It's a small rig. The reason I bought it, I mean, look at it, it's cool. It looks nice. I like the LED display. It's a good looking piece of kit, but I don't know if the battery, it seems to not run as long as the Z or the ZG Cine. They're the ones with the orange tabs. Again, a link, but those ones seem to be better. I have a few of those, so I use that. And since I already have this, I use them interchangeably, but those ones seem to have a little more battery life out of them, and plus they're cheaper. So to be honest, if you're looking for a V-mount, I would go with the ZG Cine, because they just are better value, unless these guys come down in price, but I don't think they have so far. And yeah, and the nice thing with this rig, you can still turn on off, you can still get to it. I mean, I would love it to look like it was enclosed, but just the way the FX3 is laid out, having this gap in between is what you need to really access all your ports and hit all the buttons that you need. So yeah, this is it. And then the last bit, I think I mentioned before, but I'll say it again. Know the way you shoot. So for me, in general, if I'm wanting a stable shot, I'll carry a Peak Design sling, and I'll hold two hands here, and then this kind of, whether I have legs or not, but this back end just sits on top. This back end here just sits on top of the sling. And so what that does is, like, imagine if it's top down here and I have the sling, basically, bum bag, whatever you're using, you can just rest, like imagine this is the bag, you can just rest half of it on. And then that way it gives a bit more, it takes off some of the weight onto your body. And then sort of like a cine saddle, and then you can just pan and hold and kind of get your shots from here. So I hope that makes sense. But that's, yeah, that's how I like to shoot a lot. Other than that, I'm holding by the top handle, trying to get low shots, make it interesting, can kind of stabilize one hand here, and then, top down, holding by the side, top like this. And then for the other thing too to mention is just know what you use a lot. For me, I just put FH here, because this, again, being newer to Sony for me, I'm a long time Fuji fan and a Fuji shooter, so I'm doing a big video on that, comparing the XH2, XT4, and some of my Sony cameras, just because, yeah, give my perspective of why I switched. But anyways, being new to this, I had to label this and label some of my buttons and get used to it again. But, toggling between focus and continuous focus and manual focus was a big button there. So knowing how you hold your camera and what shortcut buttons are going to be most beneficial to you, get used to that. And so that way you can shoot quickly, because no matter what gear you have, you want to be able to shoot quickly, make your changes quickly, and then also know it in case you bump something and then it throws a setting out of whack for you, because then you need to know how to fix that. If you all of a sudden moved it to auto ISO and you don't want that, if you don't know where to go to switch that back, you might miss your shot or miss your moments, right? So knowing your equipment and how your camera works is huge. So that's been a big difference for me now, jumping to Sony. But I've been loving the image. I've been loving how it's handling. I love the IBIS on it, and just the depth and richness compared to my Fuji colors. Even though Fuji, touts good colors, I do enjoy it in a different way. But I have really been loving the full frame and the images I'm getting out of these Sony cameras. So anyways, I'll have a full review on that to come.